Hello, my name is Dora Andrews. I welcome you here today to Glencourt Farm. I run the farm with my husband and my son. We run a contracting business and also a haulage business of hay and straw. Today we've got an open day to do with Farming Connect, all to do with lambing. As you can see, we also have sheep and cattle. We've been very busy lambing, and my niece Joanne has been very busy helping me, and we got a very successful result as she does a lot of one-to-one with the nursing side of it.
I'm John Vipon from the Scottish Agricultural College, and I'm working with Farming Connect on lambing Ffocws this year. The major survey which was done on lamb losses found that ewes dying before lambing, abortions and lamb losses around birth were the major causes. As far as abortions are concerned, we do have very good vaccines with Toxoplasma vaccine and enzootic abortion vaccines, and for most farms using these is very cost effective, so I'd advise them to do that. In terms of losses before lambing, sometimes this can be pregnancy toxemia. I think in the year of the survey quite a lot of ewes would have been lost with prolapse because they were over fat. Now 2011 has been a particularly mild winter, and I would encourage all farmers to go out and check the condition score of their ewes now, because normally ewes would lose between 5 and 10 kilograms of fat, or about 1 condition score, between mating and lambing. But this year at scanning, ewes are really quite fat. There's lots of lambs about, and overfatness can predispose to pregnancy toxemia and to prolapses. Sheep running outside at the moment, you'll find it difficult to feed if they're getting a pick of grass, because all of the time they're concentrating on grazing. Also, in late pregnancy, when ewes are over fat, it's important to feed the highest quality feeds that you can afford. And in this respect, particularly with silage-based diets, it's important to use sources of digestible undegradable protein such as soybean meal, fed between, a rough rule of thumb is 100 grams of soya per lamb carried. Also note, in a year when ewes are over fat, often farmers will feed less concentrates, and the merchants are saying they haven't sold as much yet. And this might mean that the ewes are not going to be getting their normal quota of minerals and vitamins. So it might be worthwhile putting out blocks and buckets, to provide minerals if you're feeding less concentrates. In the survey, it was found that some lambs were dying because they were too big, and some were dying because they were too small. Lambs that are too big tend to be singles that have had a lot of trauma at birth, and they tend to be hypoxic, find it difficult to stand, and often they will become hypothermic because the lamb that is lying down will lose heat 4 times faster to the ground than to the air. So it's important that we get lambs on their feet as quickly as possible. And here, correct feeding of the ewe is important. That it means the right levels of protein, minerals and vitamins, and also that we're using sires that themselves have been selected for get up and go at birth, because there's quite a lot of variation. The sooner a lamb sucks, the more likely it is to survive. The small lambs at birth tend to die from hypothermia because they're too small to create enough heat and have a large surface area. And again, they have reserves of brown fat which they can use to keep themselves warm, and if the ewe has been given sufficient minerals, particularly selenium and iodine, they will be able to utilise that. And also they need attention at birth, things like attention to navels and adequate colostrum. And most farmers would underestimate the amount of colostrum a lamb needs. For example, a 4 kilogram lamb needs about 210 mils of colostrum for every kilogram in the first 18 hours to prevent hypothermia.